Shabbat Shalom. We had a bit of a traffic jam somewhere, I think, on Richmond Road, and so we're going to start in a couple of minutes. If you'd like a subject to talk about, turn to page 10 and 11 and look at our wonderful liturgy. We'll start singing in just a few moments. In the middle of page 10, Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Mishoch Avdecha El Retzonecha, Mishoch Avdecha, Ya la 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 la, El Retzonecha, Yaharutz Avdecha, Kemo Ayal, Yishtachave Yailai, Yailai, El Mul Hadarecha, Yaharutz Avdecha, Kemo Ayal, Yishtachave Yailai, El Mul Hadarecha. Top of page 11. Dodi li vani lo harohe עולה מן המדבר, מי זאת עולה מן המדבר. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים, דודי לי.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Josh Caruso. I'm here with my colleagues tonight, Rabbi Roger Klein, Cantor, Vladimir, Lapin, and our music director, Alex Marr. It's great to have everyone here today and to spend this cold evening together in the warmth of Shabbat. This week's Torah portion features an auspicious moment in our Torah's cycle, the giving of the Ten Commandments. That's this week, Parshat Yitro, the giving of the Ten Commandments. So I'll share a little Hasidic Torah with you. Reb Mendel of Rimanov, the 19th century Hasidic Rebbe, suggests that God didn't even give the first commandment at Sinai. In fact, the good Rebbe asserts that God didn't even issue the first word of the first commandment. All God gave was the first letter of that first word, Aleph, which most people who know a little bit of Hebrew will quickly say is soundless. That Aleph doesn't really have a sound unless you put a vowel to it. In response, the great Kabbalist Gershom Scholem takes issue with Reb Mendel, very Jewish thing to do, and Scholem says that there is a sound to the first letter, Aleph, of the Hebrew alphabet. That sound, Scholem says, is actually the noise that your larynx makes as it clicks into gear. It's a teeny little barely audible click. And that's what God gave at Mount Sinai. Try it yourselves, folks. As you open your mouths, if you listen closely, you can hear it. Let's try it now in silence. I just heard it. I just did it. Scholem comments that what happened at Mount Sinai was barely audible and had no particular sound, and it therefore became our job to give human content to that otherwise unpronounceable sound. If you are still with me, the Zohar, a great volume of Jewish mysticism, says that the Aleph is a seed in which is enwrapped the entire Torah. And what it means to be a religious person is to spend your life unpacking that seed. The lesson? To open the Ten Commandments with an almost silent letter, that Aleph, the letter, God begins a conversation with us that requires the listener, which is us, to participate in a holy enterprise. The Aleph operates as an aspirational letter written to us, awaiting our reply. In a sense, our role is to give voice to the incomplete words of a sentence God began to speak, but never quite finished. We, in partnership with the divine, breathe life into those letters, animate them with our words and our deeds. Perhaps this is what it means to be in relationship with God, to be players in the unfolding dialogue with the divine, to which our lives give witness. So may that dialogue continue tonight as we observe the beauty and the respite of Shabbat. Okay, let us light the Shabbat candles. We turn to page 2, and I think we should just do it ourselves, Rabbi Klein. Oh, you, Blaze? Yeah, okay, we've got a willing volunteer. Fantastic. So we're going to continue on page 2.
Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Shabbat, the candles, ushers in the Sabbath. We continue on page 20 with Lecha Dodi.
שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5, page 21. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי.
We invite you to remain standing as you are able, and we turn to page 28 for our call to worship, Baruch Hu.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach, Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
We continue on page 33. Page 33. All right, I lied. Let's continue on the bottom of 31. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravi. Continue with Ahavat Olam, page 32.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokvenu, ufkumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki heim chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uva'em nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Continue with Ve'ahavta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
Page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. Together, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands and marching together. Micha Mocha, page 40.
כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תפילות, אוסף אלה, אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקעים לפני משה ומרים, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקעים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם לעולם ועד. יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי 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 לי, Yai lai 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 lai. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני. יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי 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 לי. גאל ישראל, אמן, אמן, אמן.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, Amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Grant, O God, that we may lie down in peace. Raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Hashkivenu 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen.
We continue with our tefillah. Beginning on page 46, we invite you once again to rise as you are able.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם, ועזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללו חסלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. Continue on page 55. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Let's join together. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. We pause for a few moments, and we turn to Shalom Rav, page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Shabbat Shalom. Up to this point, we have prayed together as a community. Our rabbis say that we should not make all of our prayers fixed. The fixity of prayers is necessary condition for us reading together and singing together. We have a blueprint, but there comes a moment when we acknowledge that we are here as individuals, lifting each of us his or her own prayer, whether it's a prayer of praise, a prayer of gratitude, thanksgiving, a petition. The great medieval sage Nachmanides says that the most important prayer of all are our petitions, because after all, we are finite, and we face challenges, and we want certain things. So Heschel says that the most important prayer is praise, but Nachmanides disagrees. Whatever our heart is prompting, let's pause for a moment of silent prayer.
Page 62, towards the bottom. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O God, my rock and my redeemer, my rock and my redeemer. May they be acceptable in your sight, O God. Yiyu leratzon imrei fi v'gyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'goli.
time we come to the point in our worship service where we're going to read the names of those who are ailing, those of our congregants, those of our friends who are ailing of body, of mind, of spirit, especially if we have a long list as we do tonight, I shudder to think of how many of our congregants are ailing. We think about them, we wish them a refuah shalema, a speedy return to health. After I read this list, I'm going to give you an opportunity to name out loud or in the quiet of your hearts those about whom you are thinking as well. On this occasion, we think about Andy Abel, Sasha Aber, Adele Adler, Rose M. Allen, Eliana Amram, Arthur Beckerman, Lauren Berg, Justin Boyd, Judy Brookstein, Bonnie Chiswick, Angela Chuang, Amy Cott, Barry Cott, Sadie Faye Kuzmario, Jean Davis, Gary Dorfman, Ellen Dubrow, Babette Feibel, Mary Freeman, Bodie Hayes Goldberg, Marilyn Goldfein, Aaron Gottlieb, Alan Granis, Nancy Granis, Adrian Greenwald, Kara Greenwald, Margie Hodis, David Isaacs, Tema Isser, Jennifer Jacobs, Liam Jacobs, Antoinette Karpinski, Aileen Katz, Usan Kaiser, Marina Kenny, Famida Khatun, Susan Maximum, Richard Moore, Bob Nidus, Reverend Roger Osgood, Michael Pensner, Nancy Polk, Lauren Redding, Charles Chuck Ross, Edith and Levi Rubenstein, Hadass Rudy, Lisa Rutherford, Linda Sandhouse, Shelley Schloss, Linda Schneiderman, Steve Shackno, Gail Shapiro, Ronnie Simkoff, Marcia Spiro, Barbara Steinfurst, Holden Ray Sussman, Suzanne Tosh, Sally Wertheim, Ilsa Bill Wolf, Stephen Young, Norman Zach, Aharon Lev Ben Baruch, Vadina Rachel, Elizabeth Yitzchak, Chaim HaKohen, Vazelda Jenny, Baruch ben Shlomo, Chaim ben Chana, David ben Moshe Bluma, Ephraim ben Naomi, Gavriel ben Yael, Ilana Ora bat Avraham Vasara, Miro bat Yakutiel Varachel, Mor bat Daphne, Mordechai ben Henia, Noam Raphael ben Tali, Ruvain ben Yitta, Sivia Devora bat Selma Ida, Yosef ben Yafa, Aviva Shulamit bat Shoshana Yisrael Ber. Let's join together in the singing of the Mishabera. You can find the words on page 253.
Mishabera Avoteinu Mekor Abraha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor abraha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
In our tradition, while we acknowledge some of the more jagged realities of our lives, the thing that gives us cause to worry and anxiety, we acknowledge them, but we always try to move from that acknowledgement and that reality to another reality, the reality of celebration, of joy. And I'm so pleased to announce that we have a mazel tov for Stanley and Sally Wertheim, who are celebrating today the 75th anniversary of their engagement. To all celebrating these milestone celebrations, we hope that they go from strength to strength. And I suggest that we, all of us, pause for a moment and in the quiet of our own minds and hearts, acknowledge with gratitude the blessings with which we have been bestowed. Let's take a moment for silence. And let's sing together the Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen. Well, it's obvious to me, and I'm sure to most, if not all of us, that we are living now in a time of crisis, a time for one of our most cherished and important civic values and institutions are under severe assault. And we look for a way to understand and to evaluate what is happening around us, even as we look for ways to act as well. In the next few minutes, I'm going to offer such a way to evaluate what is happening, and that is by exploring fundamental Jewish values so that we have something of a blueprint of a way with which and in which to evaluate what is happening. So what might Judaism be saying about our current situation? And so I propose now to explore, all too briefly, 5 fundamental Jewish values as a kind of way to assess today's dire situation. The first value, so cherished by our tradition, is the value of truth, so highly regarded by us. Jeremiah chapter 10, but the Lord is the God of truth. And just at the end of the V'ahavta this evening, just a few minutes ago, we ended Adonai Elohechem Emet, which is a slight variation on that passage from the prophet Jeremiah. No society, I'm sure you will agree with me, can flourish without a high regard for the truth. Whether the issues are issues of science, whether the truths are social or political, and I'm not expressing a partisan perspective here, the commitment to some kind of factual basis of reality is crucial for the social order. The second value regards the ethics of speech. Quoting Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, we create worlds with words. When we speak disparagingly of others, we diminish them, we diminish ourselves, and we damage the very ecology of freedom. That is why the sages take lashon hara, evil speech, so seriously, which they regard as the gravest of sins. And the school of Rabbi Ishmael taught, and I quote, anyone who speaks malicious speech increases his sins to the degree that they correspond to the 3 cardinal sins of Judaism: idolatry, forbidden sexual relations, and bloodshed. You may know that in our tradition, we have 613 commandments of the 5 books of Moses. We are allowed to violate 610 of those mitzvot when our lives are in danger, when our health is in a dire condition. But the 3 others, idolatry, forbidden sexual relations, and murder, cannot be committed at the cost of our lives. That is how crucial they are. And the rabbis find an equality between the heinousness of evil speech and those 3 ultimate ideas and values. The ethics of speech. Third, foregoing revenge. The Torah strictly warns us against taking revenge. And I quote Leviticus chapter 19. Don't take vengeance, don't bear a grudge against the members of your nation. Love your neighbor as yourself. And here we have, don't take a revenge or bear a grudge, 2 of the 3 commandments in this passage in Leviticus. The other one is find a way to be critical if you must in a humane way. And these 3 mitzvot are, according to Leviticus 19, the pathway from hate to love. Don't hate your neighbor in your heart. Don't perpetrate revenge. Do not be critical in a problematic way. Don't bear a grudge. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is how important the idea of don't taking revenge as a poison spilled not only into that relationship, but into society as a whole. The following comment may be provocative, but it's worth thinking about. What if someone actually insults us or causes us harm? The Talmud states, those who are insulted but do not insult back, hear themselves slandered but don't respond, act with love because they don't escalate the dispute. And then interestingly, the Talmud goes on to say, but it's permissible to remember the incident and to maintain cool relations until the other party asks for forgiveness. Vengeance, insulting another, is a deep temptation, especially when we are abused. But the Talmud enjoins us to rise above our inclinations and not exacerbate the situation. Next, the fundamental importance of institutions. Institutions contribute stability, especially in times of uncertainty, and help to anchor expectations in times of political gridlock. Effective institutions are vital since they can deliver their mandates decisively and outside the push and pull of the political process. The Torah takes the needs for stable and strong institutions very seriously. Jewish institutions, as we know, seek to create a deep and consistent culture of values and commitments that infuse the day-to-day life of our community through careful instruction and perpetuate those values into the future. The role of institutions. And the Torah, in several texts, reinforces the importance of stable institutions. For example, in Exodus 25, verse 8, and we have used this line very often in the process of merging our congregations. And they shall build me a mishkan, a tabernacle, that I may dwell among them. And what's interesting about this is that as soon as the Mount Sinai incident is finished, and it exists between Exodus 19 and Exodus 24, immediately at the beginning of Exodus 25, there is the enjoining of building a tabernacle, an institution that may preserve values over time. Or in Deuteronomy chapter 16 from Parshat Shoftim, that chapter features 4 different institutions. And the number 4 is very important. And that is that the Torah is very concerned about concentrating too much power in one place. And here we already have an intimation of the value, the necessity of the separation of powers, which is a shrewd understanding of the problematic aspects of human nature. And so the separation of powers protects us from the concentration of power. And here are the 4 institutions: courts, royalty, the worship cult, and prophecy. Prophecy most often deployed in criticizing the royal one, royalty. The Torah is very concerned about concentrating power in one individual. So, for example, when it talks about the role of the king, there is only one commandment that is positive. All the rest are negative. The king shall not do this, shall not gather horses, shall not take us back to Egypt, shall not concentrate economic power. The king is forbidden to do every single commandment except one. And the one thing the king is commanded to do, think about it before I tell you, what might it be? The answer is spend his time reading Torah in order to recognize who is the actual king. Already we have here a plethora of institutions that try to safeguard the values, especially the value of not allowing the camel's nose under the tent in creating too strong a ruler. Strong and respected institutions build confidence and lead to shared truths. These documents are grounded for Judaism, these institutions in the Torah and in laws and values. In America, the Constitution, including its fundamental amendments and the most important commentaries on the Constitution, the Federalist Papers. And the final value that I want to discuss here is the value of justice. The fundamental text of justice, about justice, comes from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, the same chapter I just referred to. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue. This passage was originally addressed to judges and those who appoint them, but it's come to be a key text in Judaism, for the pursuit of justice is incumbent upon everyone. And notice the repetition of the word justice. Not just justice you shall pursue, justice, justice you shall pursue, which amounts to a way of talking about the need for a deep passion for, yearning for justice itself. Justice, only justice you shall pursue. And key exemplary individuals in the biblical literature make memorable commitments to Judaism's passion for justice. For example, the patriarch Abraham challenges God not to ignore justice when God considers punishing the evils of Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham says one of the most daring things that have ever been said. Shall not the just one, that's God, shall not the just one of the earth not do justice? As if saying, God, you are known for justice. How can you subvert your very own essence? Even God is called on the carpet by a mere human being if the thought is that God is not going to promote full justice in dealing with the Sodomites and Gomorrahites. And God does not resist or rebuke Abraham for this, as if to say, I see that you care about it, even to the point of rebuking me. And the prophet Amos calls on both his own people and all the surrounding peoples to practice justice, as he declares famously, let justice well up like water and righteousness like an unfailing stream. And several of you know that this is the passage that is inscribed on the tombstone of Rabbi Arthur Lillyveld at the Mayfield Cemetery. As an aside, in 1997, I had the privilege of conducting the stone setting ceremony for Rabbi Lillyveld. And certainly, as we know, he embodied the Jewish passion for justice. And certainly, Judaism frowns on any compromise on the equal distribution of justice, and that justice should never be compromised by special interests or for certain individuals. No quid pro quos are allowed to compromise or dilute the power and importance of justice. Certainly in this regard, the rabbis would be appalled by what is happening today. Now, as we know, today is Valentine's Day, a day on which we express our love for those most precious to us. In other words, the expression of the love for one's own. And to have loved ones in our lives is certainly one of life's chief blessings. But there is another object of love expressed powerfully in Judaism, and that is the love of what is right and good. Because though the love of our own is precious to us, we all live in a society beyond our particular loves. And we almost desire to have a society that we can love. And so in times of crisis, such as the ones we are living through now, there are many ways to express our outrage. I have tried in these brief remarks to provide a blueprint of 5 of Judaism's most important values, social and political, by which to judge from the Jewish point of view our current situation. Let me list them. A passion for truth, the ethics of speech, foregoing revenge, the importance of durable institutions, and a scrupulous commitment to justice. These are our Jewish values. And from that point of view, to evaluate how well or how poorly our public officials are discharging their duty to fulfill the soaring statement of the preamble to the Constitution of the United States, with which I'm going to end. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure the domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do we ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you. We continue now in our prayer books, turning to page 282, and as you are able, I invite you to rise for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
You may be seated. As we turn now to page 292, as we prepare for the recitation of the mourner's Kaddish. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust in the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear. But if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and to bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence, when a word will assure them of our love and our concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wish to live. We remember them now, they live in our hearts, they are an abiding blessing. We think now of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We think especially now of those members of our congregational family whom we have lost in the past months, weeks and months. And first I will begin with the yahrzeits themselves, those that have been called into us. We remember especially Dr. Gertrude Alpern, Norma Arsham, Claude Randall Bates, Simeon Bendersky, Cheryl A. Burlass, Sue Carol Bernstein, Alfred M. Bonnard, Raymond C. Bonnard, Marlene R. Brown, Renee Pollock Kaplan, Marcia Newman Cole, Jacqueline Efron, Julius Fisher, Ann Friedman, Melvin J. Grossman, Arthur A. Harris, Gerald Holstein, Lawrence Joseph, Les Levine, Myrtle Fox Levine, Lawrence Lichtig, Florence Mandel, Goldie Mandel, Betty Nidus, Sandra November, David Osheroff, Henry Rose, Laurie Strauss, Ruth Schultz Williams, Terry Zirkin. And for a fuller list, I encourage you to look at your Shabbat handout. We also remember those who have been laid to rest during this past week: Mark D. Arian, Mel Bernstein, Rabbi Micah Ellenson, Morton P. Klein, Martin Allen Levin, Donald J. Levy, Sandra West. And we think as well about those individuals who have been laid to rest in the past 30 days. Rochelle Goldstein, Bruce W. Marks, Mildred Mandel, Jennifer Porter, Margie Bell Sachs, Sanford Shore, Lawrence Siegler, Julie Dakin, Sidel Bonham, Burton Kamelhar, Betty Lee Alter, Joseph Kalk, Linda Lovell, Richard Morrison, Edith Smith, Laura Susan Smith. If anyone at this point would like to mention out loud the names of individuals about whom you are thinking at this particular moment, please do so as my hand passes over your section of the congregation. Zichronam livracha, may their memories ever be our blessing. As we turn now to page 294 for the recitation of the mourner's Kaddish. At first, I invite those who are observing the Shiva period, the first 7 days after the death of a loved one, if you wish to please rise. Those who are observing the Shloshim, the first 30 days after the death of a loved one, please rise. And now, as a caring congregation, let us all rise as together we sanctify the name of our God with the words of the Kaddish on page 294, as we say together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi, v'yalma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayichon v'yomeichon v'chayedechal beit Yisrael, ba'agalav izman kari v'yamru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Olomei Olmaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitalei V'yitalal Shmei Dekudishah B'richu Le'elam Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbachata V'nechemata Da'amiran B'yalma V'yimru Amen Yehei Shalom Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say together, amen. You may be seated. Time for a couple of announcements about things that are coming up in our calendars. Tomorrow morning, any congregation, any group that has one Torah study Shabbat morning already considers itself to be supremely fortunate. We have two. I'll be leading Torah study in the Hartzmark room here at 9 o'clock. And Rabbi Caruso will be leading Torah study on Zoom, also starting at 9 o'clock. It says here that Saturday, February 15th, the Jewish Heart of the Tango at 7 o'clock. Join Cantor Vladimir Lapin together with musicians Alexander Marr and Maud Cloutier, alongside professional dancers from the Fred Astaire Dance Studio as they bring the passion and history of the tango to life. Who knew the tango had a history? To RSVP, it says here, please visit the upcoming event section of Mishkan Or. Also, Tuesday, February 18th, morning minyan at 9:15, poetry on Thursday at 4 o'clock, embracing others in our caring community. It says here now through February 24th, support the homeless Stand Down, an event providing essential goods and services to unhoused people in Cleveland. The greatest needs, it says here, are new underwear for men and women all sizes and new shoes. Donations can be brought now through February 24th to the collection bin by the main entrance to Mishkan Or. And it also says here, pray for the state of Israel and the release of captives. As I was preparing for the service, then I thought to myself, my gosh, this is a long list of events. Should I really read all of them? And then I said to myself, yes. Because all of these events illustrate all the vitality that is going on here at Congregation Mishkan Or, so that it's worth pointing out to all of us everything that we are doing. And so now it's a time to continue with the Kiddush and the Motzi.
We are on page 5, and I invite you all to please rise if you are able. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lemaaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנהלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת אמן.
Bounty, the Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. We conclude on page 321. And as Rabbi Klein mentioned, today is Valentine's Day, and it's not a Jewish holiday. And I can't I can make the case for the tango. I can't make Valentine's Day, Saint Valentine's Day Jewish. But we can sing a song to Adon Olam, to something that I hope you recognize. Adon Olam Asher Malach בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצו כל. אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא. והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה. והוא אחד ואין שני, לעם שלו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמזרח. Little Richard Rogers. My Funny Valentines, for those who didn't get it. Shabbat Shalom.
Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May the Lord give strength to God's people. May the Lord bless all of God's peoples with the blessings of shalom, of peace. Amen.
And love.
Did I interrupt? Did I interrupt you? Yes.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.